time for Nerdgasm.
Hey, what's up guys? Jerry here, aka Barnacules, and it seems that you guys really like it when I review cell phones.
For some damn reason.
So LG sent me over their new cell phone here. This is the LG G4, and it's yet another Android device. But you know what? We're gonna take it out of the box, we're gonna poke it and prod it and do some things and see if I even like it. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so here we have the box, and you guys all really like unboxing, so we're going to go ahead and unbox this bad boy, but realize I've already taken it out of the box and I've been using it for like a week or more. Alright, so the first thing to open this box is we're going to need bat knife. Oh my god, you guys have probably been waiting for this for so long, but I already took it out of the box, so no bat knife.
Guys, I'm totally kidding.
Bat knife!
Jeez. Sorry guys.
Oh shit!
I'm just kidding. People on set, quiet on set. Quiet. You guys don't realize this is a professional set. You know, we have makeup artists and cameramen and guys wearing salmon t-shirts. And no, I'm not drunk. I swear to God I'm not drunk, but they are. All right, so just like with every other cell phone, it's sitting right on top when you open the box because they want that presentation. They want you to take it in, and you can see that it even has their LG branding at the bottom. So let's go ahead and take that out. And if you don't know how to flip the box on its side, they got a little tab for you.
Pull the tab!
Now, underneath the tab, you have a 1.8 amp charger. This one looks like it's set up for US power, and somehow I bent one of the prongs.
Oh shit!
We're not going to think about that. And it also comes with a USB cable here, and it looks like a standard type USB cable, none of that lightning connector bullshit. You know what I'm talking about. Now, I do believe that there was some instructions and warranty information in the box, but I done lost it. Okay, so at first glance, you may look at this phone and be like, that looks an awful lot like a OnePlus One. And that's because it kind of does. Right here, I have a OnePlus One and I have the LG G4, but there are a lot of differences. One being the LG G4 has no buttons on the side. I thought that was actually really cool. All the buttons are on the back here. You have a little button in the middle here for power, and you have a volume up and a volume down control. And the speaker in this thing is actually pretty cool because it's super loud. And that's one of my complaints with all my iOS devices is the speaker's not that loud. And the truth is I'm kind of hard at hearing, so maybe the speaker's really loud, but I don't care because this is louder. Another thing that really differentiates this thing from my OnePlus One is you can actually get the back off the damn phone. If you look here, there's a little notch right here on the side. You just get your finger under that, slide your fingernail up the side. If you don't have any fingernails, I'm really sorry. But you pop the back off. It has a 3,000 milliamp hour battery that is removable, which I think is cool because none of the iOS devices have removable batteries. And I like the fact that you can carry extra batteries with you, even though I probably never will. Also situated on the back here, you have a place to put your SIM card so that your cell company knows all the stuff that they need to do to bill you. And it's got a place that can hold up to a 2 terabyte microSD card. And I never turn the volume down. I always forget to turn the volume down.
Dude, this is like amateur hour.
All right, enough of the back of the phone. Let's put the battery back in here. And the back goes on just as easily as it came off, which is really nice. Just snaps right into place. And if you guys are familiar with the OnePlus One, which is the previous phone I reviewed, getting the back off of it is a freaking nightmare. It's probably the hardest thing that you can achieve in life. All right, so let's go ahead and fire this baby up. You just hold down the button on the back for just a couple of seconds. And in theory, it should be doing something. Come on, little phone. LG, life's good. Is that really what LG stands for? Life's good? Yeah. All right, so I'm all booted up here and I just need to log in, but you guys can't see my code. All right, and I've got a ton of apps loaded here, but what I want to talk about first is the things that make the LG phone kind of unique compared to the other one. Now, I'm not going to do an apples to apples comparison with the OnePlus One because the OnePlus One is running Cyanogen, whereas this is running Android 5.1 Lollipop. So on this particular version of Android, LG has added some of their own little bonus stuff on top of it. And it's actually pretty cool. If you scroll over to the side here, you get the LG Health app at the top. And I think that's because they're making a big assumption that all of us cell phone owners are out of shape. And they're probably right. So this one right here, you can see today I've burned 22 calories. That was pretty ambitious for me, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm quite proud of myself. But to be honest, the reason why I don't really like the health applications, and some people might, is I don't always have my cell phone with me. Sometimes I set it on the desk when I get up and walk around and I do stuff, and so it's not a super accurate pedometer. I would rather have something that's like on my wrist or something that's on my person at all times. But if you're a person that always has your cell phone no matter what, and I mean even when you're pooping, then it probably works great. You also get a calendar application, and I don't use that because I don't schedule anything. I mean, music, on the other hand, they have this cool music application, and they even have some preloaded sound that I hope is not copyrighted. Otherwise, that's going to be bad. First thing that I really, really liked when I played sound on this phone is how loud that speaker is. I'm going to reiterate, it is very, very loud. So if you're one of those people that always claims you can't hear the ringer on your phone or you can't hear when you get a message, if you miss anything on this phone cranked to 100% volume, you're basically legally deaf. Now we get to the first feature on the LG phone that I actually thought was really kind of unique and weird and useful, and that is it has an infrared transmitter up here on the top, and it's got an application here called Quick Remote, and it can learn all of the stuff in your entertainment center, like your projectors, basically anything that requires an IR signal. So this thing can like replace like a Logitech Harmony remote or a smart remote control for your entertainment center. And I thought that that was really cool, although I personally had a problem with it when I configured it for my Epson projector and I went through their little wizard. I was unable to get every feature of the projector to work, which I thought was a little weird. Some of them were grayed out, like the power button. The power button's kind of important for me, so I'm not quite sure why that works. Maybe that'll get fixed in a future update, but the fact that it can actually transmit an IR signal, I think is a brilliant thing, and all phones should have that, like, 1970s technology. It also has some other things like little smart power saver thing you click on, and it just tells you like what you should be doing on your phone to conserve power. Like, for instance, don't run 400 apps in the background. And the best way to know if you're running 400 apps in the background with this particular phone is it gets incredibly hot. It has a 6-core 1.8 gigahertz processor in it, which to me seems relatively unheard of in cell phones. Most everybody else is using, quad-core processor. So this is the first hexa-core that I've seen. It's got 3 gigs of RAM in it. And when you're running a bunch of apps, it gets super hot. I'm not going to say that it gets uncomfortable in your hand hot, but it's pretty darn close. So guys, if you don't like a hot phone and you don't like your leg feeling like it's burning off when you have 40 apps running in the background, this might not be the phone for you. It has another unique feature called audio share here. So if you happen to have another person that has an LG phone that has this application, you can basically make both phones bump uglies. I think that's called NFC, near field communication, but you smack them together and it synchronizes the song so that you and somebody else on the airplane can listen to something at the same time. I think they were really grasping for that one. Now, another really cool thing about this phone is it has an FM tuner. Now, this isn't like one of those internet, like iHeartRadio tuners. This is a legitimate FM tuner, and if you plug headphones into it, and you have to plug headphones into to use it, it uses the cable on the headphones as an antenna. And it actually gets incredibly good reception, although after looking online, a lot of people were complaining that certain carriers disable the FM module on the phone. I have no reason why they would do something like that, but make damn sure that you check with your carrier if that's a feature that you're interested in. And if you're somebody that likes to go to the gym, like I'm trying to become, quite honestly here, I'm a little ways away from it, but I'm getting there. I would like to be able to hear the audio for the television stations, and usually they broadcast that on FM. So having that FM tuner is really brilliant if you go and work out at the gym. And it's a good gym, like not a crappy gym, but like a good gym that has FM transmitters. Honestly, my favorite feature about this phone above all else, and the thing that actually would make me want to use this phone a lot, is the screen. This thing actually sports a 1440p display, otherwise known as Quad HD. I'm not really sure why they call it Quad HD. That sounds more like 4K to me. But it's a 1440p display, and it's actually an IPS quantum display. I don't really know what the quantum part of it is, but I can really tell you, looking at the screen, I have never seen a more brilliant image, better color, or black levels. The black levels on it are phenomenal. It doesn't even look like there's any black light on in a place where there's a black pixel. So as far as screens go, I mean, this is the creme de la creme. Now, one of the things I didn't really like about the phone, and I think this also has a lot to do with the heat generation and buildup, is that the battery life on it isn't fantastic. When I was using it really heavily with Bluetooth enabled and everything like that, I was able to actually kill a battery down pretty low in about 9 to 12 hours. So depending on how you use the phone is going to adjust how you get battery life, but I just noticed, I don't know if it's the background applications from LG themselves, or I'm just piss poor Android user, that's entirely possible too, but the battery actually did run low a lot faster than my iPhone 6, for instance. Now, this thing's got a couple of cameras that look really, really good on paper. The rear-facing camera is a 16 megapixel, and it's actually equipped with laser focus, so it can focus in low light, and it actually focuses better on what you want it to focus on than other Android phones that I've used without the laser assist. But it suffers from another problem a lot of Android phones have, and that is when you take a picture of motion or you're moving your hand, the image that you get is often blurry. And I found that with the iPhone 6, the whole run and gun scenario where you're just taking pictures and wanting to post them quickly, you end up getting a better result. And the interesting thing on the iPhone is when you take a picture, sometimes it looks blurry, but then a second later it sharpens up. And it's because iPhone is doing a whole lot of things with multiple pictures that it's taken and some of the software stuff to make the experience better. And I just found that that was missing from this phone. But the one thing I will say is when you put it in professional mode on this phone and you can adjust every single feature like it's a professional DSLR, in the right scenario, in the right lighting, you can get a better picture out of this than you can the iPhone 6. So if you're a professional photographer, I guarantee after tweaking around with this a little bit in a steady hand, you will get a better picture overall than the iPhone 6. And another cool thing is if you use Photoshop, which I'd imagine you did if you're a DSLR type photographer, you can shoot raw images on this, which means you can import those raw images and it's raw sensor data that you can modify in Photoshop and make the picture look exactly how you want. All right, now the front-facing camera on this guy is 8 megapixel, and it looks pretty good on paper and in really good light. It actually looks good and it has pretty good color accuracy, but I found it even suffers worse in low light than the rear-facing camera does. And honestly, when I was taking pictures for Instagram and stuff like that, I really didn't like the front-facing camera. I would try to use the rear-facing camera whenever possible. Now, another thing that's kind of cool in here is if you want to take a picture with the front-facing camera, you can actually do a gesture. You can actually like hold your hand up like this, and then you just hold a fist, and then it counts down from 3, 2, 1, and snaps a picture. And I thought that that was kind of cool that you could do the gesture control, because that way you can set the phone down from across the room and use it. And if you're in a group situation or something like that, that's really cool. All right, guys, now the last thing that I'm going to talk about here is the call quality, because honestly, who uses a cell phone to really talk on it anymore? But if you're one of those retro people that likes to actually have conversations with people rather than texting, the call quality is actually pretty good when you have it up to your ear. And the off-axis noise canceling is pretty decent when you're talking to somebody in a loud area. And best of all, the speakerphone is very loud. Again, that loudspeaker is a big defining factor for this phone, along with that really high resolution 1440p screen that looks great. Now, out in the sunlight, I found that the screen does get washed out a little bit, but it's much more visible than like on my OnePlus One and some of the other Android phones I've used. But remarkably, the iPhone still retains most of the visibility in the sunlight compared to this. So I honestly don't know what they do to pull that off. But as far as Android phones go, this by far has the best screen experience that I've ever used. Now, some of the things that I'm going to nitpick a little bit actually are more about Android than LG themselves, and that is I've noticed that scrolling still doesn't seem super smooth. Well, it's smooth, but it's laggy. You notice like when you swipe up with your finger or you swipe down or you push to stop the scrolling, there's a little micro delay in all of those operations. And I also found that when using the on-screen keyboard, there were also some delays that really threw me off, and it took me a while to get used to it. Now, if you're an Android user, you've always experienced something like that. But I noticed that on iOS, you don't have that problem. The scrolling feels absolutely fluid. The keyboard feels absolutely fluid. And I've yet to find an Android device that offers that same experience. Also, one last thing that I found that was kind of cool is if you go to the app switching screen right here, there's a dual window button, and you can basically select multiple applications that you want to run in a dual window scenario. And now you have side-by-side windows showing both applications. So it's like multitasking on Windows. But I'm going to be honest, I found the feature to be kind of a gimmick because on a cell phone, I want the whole screen when I'm doing anything, and it's very easy for me to flip between applications, so there's no real reason for me to have them side by side. And especially when you're dealing with things like cut and paste and stuff like that that's native in Android, there's really no reason for you to have to transpose stuff manually and see both applications. All right, guys, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review. I'd like to just tell you that I do really like this phone. I think the camera on it has a lot of potential. That is the rear-facing camera. And I really do like the camera application when it's running in its advanced mode. And the screen is absolutely beautiful. The sound is very loud. And that coupled with the interchangeable battery and the ability to add a microSD card make this a super strong Android phone. And plus you're dealing with a hex core CPU, so if you're doing multitasking and running many applications, it's going to handle the workload. Although it is a very hot phone. Keep that in mind when you buy it, when you're running a lot of applications or you're running a game that requires a lot of CPU, and realize to drive that 1440p screen, it's going to need a lot of power. And that's kind of the trade-off that you have, that it is going to get hot and you are going to suffer some battery life problems. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, or you can come over and tweet me. I am at Barnacules on Twitter. If you guys have your own LG G4, I'd love to hear about your own personal opinions and experiences, pros and cons. Leave them down in the comments. Now, if you guys have questions down below, the ones that get the most likes, I'll go ahead and move those up into the video description so that you guys can see the most frequently asked questions answered. All right, guys, well, I'm going to wrap this one up. Until next time. Hey, is your refrigerator running?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you better catch it.
Real original, Barnacules. Really original.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please take a moment and subscribe to my channel. It helps me a lot. Also, come over to Twitter. I'm at Barnacules. I'm a real social guy. Also, if you have a couple of minutes, check out some of these many other videos. I made them myself.